Hello learners, it's the new day that the Lord has given to us to those that big learning it. So today I want us to look at the control phases, and the control phases are three. The first one is planning phase. Planning phase. The other one is operational phase. Operational phase. And the third one is the managerial phase. Managerial phase. So, the food and beverage control, it is in three phases which are critical. The first one, which is planning phase, and the second one, operational phase, and the managerial phase. The managerial phase is also called control after the event, or is also called post-operational phase. So you can give it those three names. And we start with the first one, which is the planning phase. What happens in the planning phase? When you have your own establishment, what do you need to look in the planning phase? Here, you are looking at three policies. The first policy that you are going to look is the financial policy. Financial policy. Here, why do we need to look at the financial policy? Because anybody starting an establishment, they start an establishment to make a profit. You don't start an establishment to make a loss. So you need to know, how are you going to make a profit from this establishment? Are you able to meet the break-even point of your business? So that's why we look at the financial policy. After looking at the financial policy, you look at the marketing policy. Marketing policy. What do we mean by marketing policy? In the marketing policy, you are looking, how are you going to market your product? Because by you opening an establishment and wanting to run it without advertising your products, the people will not be aware whether you have established the establishment. That's why you see people doing a lot of advertisement. And when you invest very well in advertisement, you realize the customers will come there. And the best mode of advertisement is used by people. The customers have the key person who advertise your product. If you serve them well, they'll tell another customer, and that customer, if they come and you serve them well, they go on and they tell another customers, and you realize that your establishment has grown. So you need to do marketing. The other policy is the catering policy. Catering policy. In the catering policy, you are looking at the type of customer. Who are going to be my customer? I'm going to sell my product to the manual workers. I'm going to sell my product to the office workers. So you need to know the type of customer. And also, when you're looking at the type of customer, you are looking at the average spending power per customer. How much is our customer willing to spend to buy our products? Another thing that you look at is the type of menu. Which menu are we going to offer to our customer? Is it a table-top menu? It is a la carte menu. So you need to consider what type of menu that you are going to serve your customer. You also look at the beverage provision. If your establishment is owned by a church, you realize that the church will not sell the alcoholic beverage. So you need to know, what type of beverage am I going to sell to my customer? Is it alcoholic beverage or non-alcoholic beverage, or I'm going to sell all the beverage at the same time? You also look at the method of buying. In the purchasing chapter, we are going to look at different methods of buying. For example, there is cash and carry, where you go, you pay, and then you are given what you want. That's the method of buying, cash and carry. You also look at the type and quality of service. Type and quality of service. How are we going to serve our customer? Is it over the counter where the customers will come and pay, then they serve themselves, or you are going to have a waiter who is going to serve them? And the last thing, and the catering policy, you are going to look at the hours of operation. Is the establishment working 24 hours, or is it from morning to the evening? So you need to be specific on the hours of operation. So in the planning phase, if you ask what we talk about the financial policy, the marketing policy, and the catering policy. So that's the planning phase. Now we look at the managerial phase. And note the managerial phase, we look at the operational phase, which is number 2. Now, you have already started your establishment. You are looking at the operational phase. Operational phase, which is derived from the word operation, which means now you are working. So, in the operational phase, you start with the A, which is purchasing. Purchasing. And when we talk about purchasing, we say this is a function which is concerned with the search, selection, storage, issuing, and final use of a commodity. That is the purchasing. So, after you have derived a menu, you have formulated a menu that you are going to sell. You have to write a requisition. And after writing a requisition, you can either make a shopping list or you prepare a purchase order. When you prepare the purchase order, you take it to the purchasing department where they do the purchasing. So when you are doing the purchasing, there are 5 things that you need to look at. You need to look at the yield testing. Yield testing. Yield. If you bought 1 kg of rice, it is going to produce how many portions? The yield is the same as the portion. How many portions are going to get from that 1 kg so that we can be able to sell our rice? You also look at the product testing. Product testing. Product testing. Sometimes you buy a rice, and when you prepare that rice, it is like ugali. So you need to sell ugali to customers and you are selling rice. So you need to do the product testing to know that is this rice that I bought the right quantity or I was cheated. We also look at the purchase specification. Purchase specification. We call it standard purchase specification. We learn at it at the purchasing. Standard purchase specification. Here, using the standard purchase specification, we'll be able to know the quality, because quality you cannot measure by seeing. You need to follow a standard purchase specification to know that the right quality was bought. Why do we say we follow the standard purchase specification? Because the standard purchase specification has the definition, it has the brand, it has the weight, it has the degree of preparation, and also it is accompanied by delivery note. Those are information that you're going to find in a standard purchase specification. Then you look at the method of buying. Methods of buying. Methods of buying. I'll talk about the cash and carry. Are you going to buy the cash and carry? Are you going to buy total supply? Are you going to buy through daily market quotation? Which method of buying are you going to use? And the last thing that you are going to look is the clerical procedures. Clerical procedures. Clerical procedures. And when we talk about the clerical procedures, we are looking at what sort of documents will be used. What sort of documents are you going to use? For example, you realize when during the purchasing procedure, there is receipt of goods and it is accompanied by some documents like the delivery notes. It is accompanied by package sheet. So these are the documents that are going to be used in purchasing. So we have said in purchasing there are 5 things and you are able to see them. Now after purchasing, it is followed by receiving in the operational procedure. Now you have purchased. Now you go to receiving. You want to receive what you have purchased. Under receiving, we are going to look at 3 things. quality control. Quality control. And when we talk about quality control, we'll be helped to know the quality control through use of standard purchase specification. So, because we have said you cannot be able to measure the quality unless you use the standard purchase specification. Now, the other thing that we look at is the quantity. Quantity inspection. Quantity inspection. Why we say quantity inspection? Because you can be able to measure in kilograms, 1 liter, to know did this customer bring what we required or they cheated us. And the last thing is the clerical procedures. The clerical procedures. The clerical procedures as what sort of documents are they going to accompany this? What documents are you going to find in the receiving section? So after receiving, we go to the storing and issuing. Storing and issuing. Number 6. Storing and issuing. Storing and issuing. Under storing and issuing, we are going to look at the stock records. You need to maintain stock records. Stock records. In the stock records is where we find a record that we call continuous stocks. You know all the stock records that are required. Then we also look at the pricing of issues. Pricing of issues. When we say pricing of issues, it is where we calculate this calculation, we call it P4, E4, NE4. So you are going to decide, are we going to use first in, first out? Are we going to use last in, first out? Are we going to use NE4 next in, first out? And then you look at the stock taking. Stock taking. Is your stock taking perpetual stock taking? When are you going to do your stock taking? When is it going to be done? And the last thing is the clerical procedures. And the clerical procedures are what sort of documentations are going to be used. Now, after doing the storing and issuing, go to preparing. Preparing number D, which is preparing. Under preparing, what we look at? We look at the volume forecasting. Volume forecasting. And the volume forecasting is the same as predicting. You predict. And the volume forecasting is in 2 stages. We have the initial and the final forecast. You also look at the precosting. You precost. Precosting. And you finally look at the clerical procedures. What sort of documentation is going to be used? When we are done with the preparing, we go to selling. We go to selling. That is number E. Selling. Under selling, we are going to look at the taking system. Taking system. How are you going to pay? Which terminal of payment are you going to use? Do you have a computer there where your payments are being made? And also the control of the cash. How is that cash being controlled? Control of the cash. The control of cash from the customer to the waiter, from the waiter to the cashier, from the cashier to the front office manager, from the front office manager, because after collecting the money is taken to the front office manager, where it is taken to the accounts department, and finally you look at the clerical procedures. So we have seen in the operational phase we have purchasing, we have receiving, we have storing and issuing, we have preparing, and finally we have selling. So we look at the last step, that is the control phase number 3, which is control after the event. Control after the event. Control after the event. Which we have also called the managerial phase, or we have also called it post-operational phase. And this is commonly asked. What are the three things which happen at the control after the event? And the first one is we look at food and beverage cost reporting. Food and beverage cost reporting. And when we'll be explaining food and beverage cost reporting, you'll be using the problems of food and beverage control, because when we use that problems of food and beverage control, they are going to help you to come with the food and beverage cost reporting. You do you look at the sales, were we able to make a profit or a loss? So you need to explain that. Number two, you do assessment of the results. Assessment of the results. Now, you have gotten the food and beverage cost reporting. Now, you need to do assessment of the results that you have gotten. And the last thing is the correction or corrective action taken. Corrective action taken. Correction or corrective action taken. So, in the control after the event, there are three things. That is food and beverage cost reporting. There is assessment of results, and there is correction or corrective action taken. Make sure that you revise, and in another one next lesson we are going to look at purchasing. Make sure that